Member recognized, member from Saanich South.
Thank you. As I begin today, I can't help but think that with a title like A Missed Opportunity in Agriculture, the variety of topics I could have chosen to cover in this chamber are enormous. Every day I consider the opportunities we are missing and the lack of long-term planning for food security in relation to the importance that it should have for our future. I have stood here many times and chastised our current government for things I fundamentally disagree with in their approach. I often feel as though our values are so different, I have no idea how we could ever reach agreement. But today is different. Today is not about angrily schooling the government members on a topic I can't believe they don't know more about. It's not about attacking and coming on strong because I see a weakness. It's not about marching the members out on a limb and then sawing it off. Today is different. Today, I'd like to appeal to the members' common sense. This is my request for attention to a matter that is in all our best interest, and to call on Cabinet to support a part of the agricultural industry that has reached a full crisis. Without support from all of us, we may see the end of an era that began in BC in the 1930s. The sector I bring to your attention this morning is the BC hazelnut sector. In preparing for this debate, I took a look at the BC Ministry of Agriculture website page on hazelnuts. Just that alone helped me understand that this sector has been overlooked for quite some time. The entries on that page are outdated, and there fails to be a plan for the future, given the current situation. The regional list of growing sites that are described are inaccurate and incomplete. Only the Fraser Valley gets associated with nut farms, but in reality, we see hazelnuts growing in many areas of the province, including Vancouver Island. There is mention of hazelnuts having low economic returns, almost as a deterrent for those considering such a crop. But we know that with new cultivars, improved orchard management techniques, and a growing demand for nuts and value-added products, hazelnut orchards are a financially smart choice. This ministry page also fails to mention that hazelnut plantings have relatively low input requirements compared to many other crops, including their demand for water. As we all begin to understand the challenges of climate change brings to the table, having drought-tolerant agriculture crops like hazelnuts will only become more and more valuable. Already, we've seen weather play havoc in other parts of the world that grow these nuts, increasing the price. Last fall, weather devastated crops in Turkey, the world's biggest producer, increasing prices by 60%. Turkey grows about 70% of the world's hazelnuts. In many parts of BC, we have ideal climatic conditions for these nuts. We are geographically situated to successfully withstand climate changes for the right types of crops like hazelnuts. It's a fast-growing tree. The nuts are high in demand, we can grow them well, and the nutritional value is huge. The trees sequester more carbon than most other crops, and if that's not enough good news, they also offer some of the earliest pollen available to our bee populations in the spring. So what's the problem? Well, it's more than a problem. Some in the sector would call it a complete emergency. This is not news to the MLAs that sit in this chamber representing the areas that host hazelnut farms. They are well aware of this crisis. In the mid-1970s, EFB arrived in Washington state. Eastern filbert blight is a fungus called Anisogramma anomala, and it crept its way via the wind up to BC by 2005. This is a deadly fungus causing dieback of young spring branches, eventually causing the entire tree to die. Even with the stringent pruning and fungicide applications, every commercial orchard in the Lower Mainland is affected. A quarantine has been in place to help slow the spread of the disease, and it has helped, but the destruction has gone very far. Seabird Island First Nations has a 115-acre nut orchard, and every single tree is dead. Orchard after orchard is becoming decimated by EFB, and with that comes a decline in our agricultural productivity and potential. As we see orchards being ripped out or left in place to rot, we need to ask ourselves a few questions. Will this be the end of the BC hazelnut industry? Is this a situation without hope? Can anything be done to save it? The answer to all of those questions is the same. It's up to us, right here in this chamber, to make a choice to support this incredible sector. I'm appealing to every member in this House to realize the value we have right here in our own backyard and to help bring relief as fast as possible. What does the hazelnut industry need? First and foremost, they need a commitment from us that they will have access to orchard replant dollars similar to the BC fruit growers. We are fortunate that over the past few years, the hazelnut industry has begun to organize. There are dedicated people doing trials with blight-resistant varieties, allowing orchards to be replanted with new trees. Trials on test plots are underway in the Fraser Valley and on Vancouver Island. The results are looking good as the new trees are showing no signs of disease at this point, giving much-needed hope to the industry. We are very lucky that the blight is not carried in the soil, so an orchard can be replanted after a diseased orchard has been removed without having to treat the soil. But here's the problem. Just like the BC fruit growers, the hazelnut growers need a provincial replant program to enable these orchards to be reborn. With this support, they could renew the industry in a very successful way. They need to sit down with government and establish a plan so they can continue their dedication to what they grow, but it's got to happen fast.
Thank the member. Recognized member from Boundary Similkameen.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I'll speak this morning to all of the opportunities in agriculture, including the hazelnuts. I believe agriculture in British Columbia is an untapped opportunity, not a missed one. It's one of the best-kept secrets that has quietly moved forward without the high profile of other natural resources, but has the same potential of economic excellence. Primary agriculture in BC generated $2.8 billion in sales in 2013. Approximately 20,000 farms utilized 2.6 million hectares to produce more than 200 agricultural products. There is more than 4.6 million hectares in the Agricultural Land Reserve, a very obvious opportunity for farming to grow. Honourable Speaker, climatic conditions in the province make it possible for British Columbia farmers to grow a wide variety of commodities. Total farm cash receipts from the sale of crops, including grains, oilseeds, tree fruits, berries, grapes, field and greenhouse vegetables, floriculture, nursery forage, and other crops amounted to nearly $1.4 billion in 2013, up 2.7% over 2012, and up 12% over the previous five-year average. In 2013, BC producers led Canada in the sale of blueberries, cranberries, sweet cherries, raspberries, apricots, garlic, and leeks. And 15 of BC's other crops ranked second in sales, including greenhouse peppers, tomatoes, cucumbers, many ground crops, as well as floriculture and nursery products. And let's not forget aquaculture and commercial fisheries. Aquaculture farm gate sales from farmed salmon, clams, oysters, scallops, and other cultured shellfish totaled more than $500 million, and commercial fishing landed values of $300 million. BC producers led the nation in sales of many products, such as cultured salmon, wild salmon, halibut, rockfish, farmed clams, oysters, and scallops, just to name a few. The aquaculture industry is only just beginning to realize its potential for growth in British Columbia. Our food and beverage processors represent the largest manufacturing sector in the province, generating nearly $8 billion in sales in 2013, increasing 1% over 2012 and 8% over the five-year average. Honourable Speaker, this government recognizes and supports the agriculture industry and farmers of British Columbia. We have invested $6 million in the Buy Local program, including $2 million in this budget, helping BC farmers and food processors promote their products and support food security in BC. We have committed $8.4 million for a 7-year tree fruit replant program that supports growers' efforts to meet consumer demand for high-quality, high-value BC fruit. The new replant program builds on the recent success of growers who replanted low-value orchards with high demand and high-quality varieties like ambrosia apple and late-season cherries. BC Hazelnut Growers Association Revitalization Plan is expected to be released in 2015. The plan will contain a set of recommendations for industry and government, including a revised replanting projection and program proposal. Many of the growers in my riding of Boundary-Similkameen will benefit from the replant programs. Through Growing Forward 2, the governments of Canada and British Columbia have committed $13.4 million through 2018 to support innovation in BC products and processes. And so far, in 2013-2014, 63 projects have shared more than $5.8 million in funding. That's definitely not opportunities missed by the farming producers of BC. Honourable Speaker, support from not only government but the consumers of British Columbia is necessary to ensure the continuing success of our farming community. With innovation in farming practices and the work being done to promote our products at home and abroad, farming will continue to increase as an opportunity in British Columbia. Thank you.
Thank the member. Recognize member from Senate South.
Thank you. One thing I know about farmers and people in the agriculture industry is that we need them. We need them more than ever. We need the hazelnut orchards to be part of our provincial food security plan. That means we need to increase the amount of nuts we produce, and we can't do this until we face the needs of the sector. We need to act now, and I'll tell you why. Just like most things in agriculture, you can't snap your fingers and change things quickly. Perennial crops like hazelnut trees take about 5 years to start producing and 10 years to reach full production. That means we need to start replanting now in order to minimize our transition time. We need about 1,000 acres in full production to have a viable industry, and we have a lot of work in front of us to get to that stage. There is the work of ripping out old orchards, then working on through the provincial regulations in order to dispose of or burn the diseased trees so as not to infect new plantings. Currently, the way this is handled by the ministry is slowing down the efforts of our orchardists as they fight to be able to burn diseased wood. There is the work of producing enough trees to replant. Fortunately, work is being undertaken now by those in the industry. The trees being started here in BC begin in a tissue culture lab and are getting them to stage of a #1 pot takes about 2 to 3 years. It all takes time, and there's no time to waste. Replant dollars can help make this happen. And I know there are government members who know this just as well as I do. I know there have been a couple requests from government members to support a hazelnut replant program. These requests are dated back to 2013. There must be a faster reaction by Cabinet. I think we all understand that this is very much needed, and I hope we can all stand together so it can happen as soon as possible. Let's not let indifference be the reason the hazelnut industry died. Let's stand together and let recognition of its provincial value to be the reason that it thrives.